going to be my 2,000-mile review on this bike. And, starting up in third gear, lots of torque. And I'm going to have to tell you right out the bat, I'm a fanboy of this bike, so it may not be what everybody else thinks about the bike, but it's what I think about the bike. And then I'm going to start off with the negatives, which there's only one negative that I would say it's a negative. The other ones are just really pet peeves. So, the first negative. This motor sounds like crap at an idle. When you're going down the road, it's fine. It's quiet. I was thinking of putting an aftermarket muffler, but I don't want the drone. Everybody does these sound videos, revving it up, doing drive-bys, but I want to know what it sounds like at 70 miles an hour for an hour. If it drones, I'm not interested. So, I mean, I got my Triumph for that. It's decatted. I got Vance and Hine mufflers on it. It's got that 270-degree crank. It sounds so cool at an idle when you open it up, but it's not something I want to ride on the highway for hours. So, when this thing is cold, it's not too bad, but when it warms up, it sounds like a muscle car from the 60s with a solid lifter cam that's in need of a valve adjustment. And, or, for people that don't know what that sounds like, basically it sounds like a broken sewing machine. It seems like it warms up, I guess the clearance is because the oil thins out. It definitely sounds, and it's on the left side of the motor more. It's just clack, 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 clack. I mean, I could, in fact, when I set it a light, I'm gonna use the audio from the 360 camera, and you can listen to it yourself. But the dealer said it's normal. I had some service done, the 600 mile. They said it was normal. So if it's normal, it's normal. I ain't worried about it because the bike just absolutely performs flawlessly. So that's only my biggest pet peeve, and it wouldn't stop me from buying. Next little pet peeve would probably be, I guess it's not a pet peeve, maybe it's an issue, is the holding device, the hill holding, I guess they call it. When you stopped at a light, you're on a hill or whatever, you squeeze the brake, and it, little green light comes on with an H and tells you that it's got the brakes locked. Well, unless you just when you're going to move, and unless you just really go slow, it doesn't want to release fast enough, and you wind up the front wheel's kind of locked, or the whole bike is locked, and you're giving it gas, and it's just not moving the way you want. My buddy's 1600, his K1600 is silky smooth. Whether you want to accelerate hard from the light or you just normal, it always releases. This one doesn't, and we switched bikes for a little bit, and he went through the same thing because I was thinking maybe it's just me, maybe I just don't know how to fucking drive. Maybe I don't know how to ride this thing. So that's not a big deal because I don't use it. I use it only if and then I squeeze the handle to let it go. Because you could squeeze the handle to apply, and then you could squeeze the handle to let it go. So that's what I normally do but I don't need it for a hill. I got perfect control of the bike. It's no problem. So that's another that's a minor pet peeve. And I'm just trying to think of anything else for the pet peeves before I get on to what's fun about the bike and what I like about the bike. I think I had another one, but it was very slight. Maybe it was the transmission. No, because the transmission, I figured it out. It's absolutely the gearing of this thing. It's got a steep first gear, and it'll clunk or jump if you're riding real slow. But if you wind it out in first gear, just bring the revs up a little bit, it's okay. It's a lot better. I mean, it's not like my buddies when I rode my buddy's 1600. That's silky smooth at any RPM. But his gearing is different, and I think it has something to do with the gearing, and that's why it jumps like that, because it doesn't do any other gear. And I know one guy commented it's very agriculture. It may be, but I don't have a problem with it. It does everything I needed to do. Some people say you can't downshift when you're giving it, giving it throttle, but I just downshifted, no problem giving it throttle. So I don't know where that's coming from. Upshifting with no throttle is an issue, but who does that? So those are kind of the only the negatives that I have on the bike. I mean, there's options I wish they were on it, but I don't consider them negatives. So let's get on with the what I like about the bike. I'm going to start off with the performance. I mean, this bike is extremely fast. It accelerates so hard from a dead stop that it's hard to keep the front wheel down, even when you have it in the wheelie suppressed mode, because you can change the modes. It's basically you can keep the throttle response the same, but you put it in rain mode for stability, and it controls the front wheel. So, and I usually keep it in road mode, but with dynamic pro on, but just road mode, so the wheel don't come up as high. But it accelerates really hard. I like to just, kind of feather it in first, and then when I get into second, then I just rip into it, and then it seems to do the trick. Me and my buddy, we've done a couple of roll races and with the 1600, and they're pretty much equal. I guess it depends who gets to start, but he's got more power, I got less weight, but they're kind of equal. So the power is just super, and the torque is always there. I'm doing 55 in sixth gear. I'm about 3,200 RPM. And it's almost hits 80 without just a little light tap of the throttle, no bucking, no nothing. So the performance of this bike is just absolutely super. I think I've said this before, where it's a low 11-second quarter-mile bike if you got a really good rider on it. I can't get the thing to launch the way I want, so I know I'm not going to get those kind of times. But that shows you the potential of this thing. It's pretty fast for a bike that sits so high, and its performance is just everything I want. No complaints there at all. All right, so now let's go to ride and handling. That's what sold me on the bike. I had no intentions of buying this bike, like I said many times before. But when I got on this thing, I knew it. It rides, in road mode, it's so plush. It's just so, it feels so good with this. I guess it's almost 7 inches of suspension travel. It's just so nice. But then you figure, okay, you're going to give up something in handling. Well, this bike handles so good. Now, I'm not going to say it handles like a Gixxer or any of the good, a double R, a 1000, a BMW, but it handles everything I can handle in my skill level. It'll do. So, I mean, I'm never going to. It's like with cars. I mean, how many people can actually take a I don't know, a Lamborghini, Corvette, whatever, just anything that's a GT500 can push it to its maximum potential, especially on the street. Not many. And it's the same thing with the bike. With my skill level, this thing is absolutely super. And I usually ride Dynamic Pro, which is a little firmer suspension, but not bad at all. And it just handles so well. How can a bike that sits this high and rides so good handle so well? I mean, it makes me feel extremely confident going into the turns. I mean, not that I want to drag a knee, but man, I think I could do it. I mean, that's how confident it makes me feel on this bike. So, ride and comfort, just beautiful, spot on, just beautiful, and handling, just everything, just perfect. That brings me into like the fuel mapping. I think I've mentioned this before. My Triumph, when it gets hot out, the throttle is just so snatchy, and you got to really feather the clutch when you're going slow. You can crawl with this thing, roll on the throttle a little, and it doesn't bark, nothing. It's just the fuel mapping is excellent. So performance-wise, there's nothing to fault it with. Now, I'm sure there's guys that out here, I'm not taking this off-road, so I don't know how it is off-road, and I don't really care. I'm sorry, guys. That doesn't interest me. I'm not beating my bike up and with rocks and all this kind of crap to go off-road. That doesn't do anything for me. I want an on-road bike that's agile and can handle, and this thing does it. It's like a Swiss Army knife, which I've said before. And a good Swiss Army knife. It does it all. So performance-wise, just everything, just excellent. Handling, excellent. Comfort, excellent. What else? What else is the wind protection? Now, it just seems like it's a really funny subject. Not a funny subject, but a weird subject. I hear people just say, the regular GS windscreen, we got that's ugly. That guy got hit hard. That was a deer there, folks. That the windscreen is too small. It doesn't do anything. It's noisy. I'm 5'11". I have a taller torso than my inseam is not really. You figure it to be 32. It's like 31 and a half-ish. And so I have a taller torso. I have no wind buffeting whatsoever. The only air I feel is on the shoulders, and they're just the outside of your shoulders and your arms. And it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all, and it's very comfortable. So I don't understand why they say this stock windshield is crap. I guess it just depends on the individual. Maybe if you're too short, there's a problem. Maybe if you're too tall, there's a problem. But for me, they made this bike for me. Seat-wise, another topic that just beats me up. I don't understand it. People complain about this seat. We were out Monday. Like I said, we were out from 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We did 180 miles. I had no discomfort in my butt, my back. I had a little bit, in my neck, but I think that's my seating position. I tend to, I slouch a little bit, or I put too much pressure. But if I relax, it goes right away. Sometimes I'm a little tense. So I think this seat is spot on. I did try their comfort seat. It's a lower comfort seat. I didn't like it. It just didn't seem like it was worth the money. This thing has a lot of cushion in it. It's very plush, which I'm kind of skeptical, because when you do when it's too plush, I think the foam collapses and you get pressure points. But I think this is my observation, is that because the suspension is so soft and plush, you don't pound on the seat. Like with my Triumph, I ordered a comfort seat, and after 10 minutes, it was comfortable when you first sat on it, but after 10 minutes, because there's not much suspension travel, and the bike is a lot firmer, and you can bottom out with it, and you do a couple times, and you've collapsed the foam into the seat, you get pressure points. So I put a corporate seat on, which is extremely firm, and I wasn't really happy with that firmness at first, but then I come to realize, wow, this thing I can ride a long time without any pressure points, and it winds up being the firm seat with a firm suspension is the best way to go, where a softer seat, if you have a compliant suspension, it just kind of works. I think they just did their homework. And then now people are going to complain, oh, no way, this seat sucks, the windshield sucks, the windscreen sucks. No, to me, this bike was made for me. They designed it perfectly. It fits me ergonomically just right. So comfort-wise, no complaints whatsoever. Nice wind protection. The heated grips work great. Let's see, the heated grips, I have these little grip puppies. Some people say, I'm always on the internet. I'm a freaking internet YouTube junkie. And they say that you don't get the heat through them. Well, I'm on two right now. It's not too cold. It's only 50 degrees. It's 50 degrees. But my hands are as hot as hell. I don't feel, and I've been riding in 30-degree weather, and I have no issues with the heated grips whatsoever. So with that said, let's see. We got performance out of the way, handling out of the way, comfort out of the way, weather protection out of the way. I haven't ridden the bike in the rain, so I don't know what it's going to be like in the rain. I wouldn't be able to speak to that, but my overall impression after 2,000 miles is that why didn't I get this bike sooner? I had no interest in the bike because it looked basically like a 4x4 truck, and I said, it's kind of cool, but is that a bike I can live with? I don't know if it's going to be what I want, and it's amazing. And I've grown to love the looks of it, and it's basically everything I want in a bike. I mean, I ride the Triumph. I was out yesterday with the Triumph, but only on short trips now. This bike is my go-to bike, and it's hard to find a fault, except for that noisy engine. Like if the light turns red up here, I'm going to have to get a light where it's, let's see, this crossroad's a little crazy here. Got to be careful. And then you can hear it clacking away. And that's, like I said, that's my only pet peeve. I mean, that's my only complaint with the bike. I have little pet peeves, but, nothing's perfect. But you overlook the things because of the positive things. And when you have great handling, great ride, and great performance, you can easily overlook the noise at an idle, And I like the hard bags. These are hard cases. The dealer threw them in, so I wasn't going to say no. And so I pretty much, in there, to me, they're, okay, here comes the light. Let's see if we can hear this thing, and I'll shut up for a minute. And we'll see how this goes. All right, guys, so that's the noise of the motor. And one thing I didn't talk about which is probably a big thing, is the TFT screen. This thing is also phenomenal. Sunday or Monday when we were out, it's 70, low 70s, bright sunshine. Sun is pounding on my back, right into the screen, and it did not wash out. That was very impressive. I mean, I've seen a lot of digital type of screens before, even in cars, and if the sun hits it, they wash out. This thing did not wash out at all. It's super clear. It's super function. It took a while to get used to some of the stuff. I mean, after about 1,000 miles, you have your little wheel here, and then you get your menu buttons. But then you got your mode buttons, which bring you like real quick into the modes. You don't have to go through all the menu. So, after a little bit of riding the bike, most people can figure it out. It's not that big of a deal. So the screen, absolutely the best I've ever seen on a motorcycle. I've ever seen it better than the cars. I mean, this is super. So I guess I'm sounding like a fanboy, and I am. I never thought I would be on a Beamer. When I first started wanting to get back into riding, I'm looking at a Harley, and I like the Harleys, but I don't like the way they ride. I love the way they sound, but I don't like that they have no suspension travel, and I got to have comfort. I got to have comfort with performance. I want them both. So, and I don't know if I talked about some of about the suspension modes. So some of you guys that are vertically challenged, I'm kind of not, but I'm not flat-footing, and I know this bike is kind of big, but you can put the height. You can set the height on this bike. We'll drop it almost an inch if you put it to minimum. You can put it to auto. This way it'll know when you have luggage or you're going to put a rider. I ride solo. I don't put anybody on the back. I got about 25 pounds in the back of my case, tools and other crap holder. But you can set the height. So I put down a minimum, and so I can get, and I'm, like I said, 31 and a half inch inseam, and I can flat foot it, but, it's a tight flat foot. I'm really not bending my knees. If I want to bend my knees, I got to put them on the balls of my feet. But so it does have the adjustable suspension is really cool. I mean, it has so many features on a motorcycle. That's what blows me away. So it's a cool bike. If you're thinking about getting one and you're not sure, don't go Don't go for a test ride because you're going to wind up buying it. I mean, if you financially can buy it, this is an expensive bike. I got a really, really good deal, and I was looking at the GT, the K1600 GT, because my buddy bought the B model, the bagger, and the guy said, take it for the GS for a ride, and then I just lost interest. But if I would have taken the GT for a ride, I probably would have bought that. But it's a little heavier. This thing is just like, woof, I feel like I'm on a dirt bike. But then when you're at speed, at 90 miles an hour, it's so stable. I mean, I've had the bike up to 130 according to the speedometer here, but I've read that the speedometer can be off anywhere from 3 to almost 10%. So, but I'm still, even then, I'm still going 120, and it was just very stable, extremely. For a tall bike, it's very stable. All right, so we've got all that fanboy stuff out of here. I love the bike, and it's definitely something I would buy again. But now this is what I think the next GS should be. It should be called, obviously, the R1300GS, and this is what it should have. It should have a electronic windshield where just a button raises and lowers it. Obviously, a heated seat. Okay. And now I know some of you guys are going to say, what do you need this for? But I can't help it. I'm a drag racer, so I got to have this feature. Ducati has their feature on the Duval. I think I'm pronouncing that model right. Launch control. It would be so nice to have launch control on this thing where I could set it to say whatever, 4,000 RPM, crank the throttle, let go of the clutch, and because it's a drive-by-wire, it'll just feed the power in, not to wheelie, just to accelerate hard, because I love accelerating hard. And that would be so cool. So that's the features I want to see, and it's my personal preference. Well, I know a lot of guys want to see the electronic screen, and the heated seat, but I want launch control, and I want more power. So here you go, BMW. R1300GS with launch control, with a power a screen, and a heated seat, and I think you got a perfect bike. Oh, I forgot the most important thing. The BMW engineers, they're pretty slick. They know what they're doing. They got to be able to make this thing sound better at an idle. Just do something about that, because I get ribbed so much when I start my bike up between my brother and my buddy with his K1600, which that thing is super smooth. It's like a car. And but when you wrap it, it's like a little mini Indy car. I love that sound. and they said it sounds great with aftermarket exhaust, but I just get ribbed big time. What, you bring your sewing machine with you? What, you need a valve adjustment? Come on, this is a brand new Beamer. So, so I think that's kind of, well, those are the 4 things I would want. Make that thing sound nice, give me some launch control, give me more power, and heated seat, and adjustable windscreen, electronic adjustable. I'd like to open it up here, but this is, the cops like to hang out on this road because you could just really wind it out over here. All right, guys, so that's my 2,000-mile review. I love the bike. The negatives I mentioned would not stop me from getting this bike again. And to say I've had no issues with the bike to speak of, except for that hill holding, which, you know, maybe it's more me than that. I don't know. But this bike has been super. It's just been a super deal, and I'm just so pumped that I get to ride this thing every day. All right, guys, that's it for me, and I'll have another video soon. Later.